Ely, Minnesota. So welcome everybody here at the Bear Center. We're always happy to have you, and I see a lot of kids here on the deck, and it's always nice to see families with their kids right before, I'm sure many of you will be going back to school shortly. Well, our first bear out is Holly Bear, and if you look carefully, she's got a dirty face. Yeah, she didn't wash her face this morning. Well, there's a story behind that. Holly Bear has been investigating locations, and she's been digging. Holly Bear is our 2-year-old female, and she comes from the state of Arkansas. She was born of a wild mother, but separated from her mother due to a wildfire. She was picked up by a family in Arkansas, and they wanted to do right by her, so they took her in a family environment, and they were going to raise her. Well, that's not something we recommend, and in fact, it's really illegal to do that. The authorities found out about it. She was sent to the Appalachia Bear Rescue and deemed non-releasable. Unfortunately, when a bear goes to a rehab facility and is deemed non-releasable, there's very few options. One is euthanasia, or two, find a forever home. We have become Holly's forever home in December of 2013, and that is actually how she gets her name, Holly Bear. Because we got her during the holiday season, and there is such a berry called hollyberry that is a bear food. She's working on what we call a tube, and it is a PVC pipe with holes in it that has grapes and peanuts. Why do we do this? Why do we do these bear enrichments? Bear enrichments are an opportunity for bears to use their problem-solving skills, their dexterity, and have to work for food, even though they're in a captive environment. This is exactly what they'd have to do in the wild if they wanted to find ants, ant colony in a rotten log, or maybe there's a beehive that they want to get at, and they have to move rocks and what have you to get to that beehive, because they really like the immature bees and the immature ants, which really provides protein for wild bears. I'll talk a little bit about why Holly has a dirty face. And for those of you at the Bear Center, you can see it above her eyes and generally on her forehead. We were quite surprised last year during hibernation. She went into hibernation and she dug her own den. She rejected all the 7 man-made dens here at the Bear Center and said, I'm going to dig my own. And she did on the side of a small hill, rocky hill. And we've discovered a location in one of these smaller pens where she is practicing her digging skills. Well, I'm not too sure she's going to den there, but she certainly is showing indications that she may want to dig her own den rather than use one that is provided for her. And how do we tell this? Well, some real obvious telltale signs is, of course, right now she's come with a dirty face, and if you look at her 2 front paws, they're pretty dirty as well. And her behavior, she's been missing on occasion here at some key times during the day where we tend to see her, but she's been missing. She's been busy doing something else. Well, we have a second bear out as I've been chatting, and that is Honey Bear, and she is on the left by the creek that goes into the pond. And people say, well, that's not a black bear, that's a brown bear. Well, not really. She's a brown bear in color, but a brown bear is a different type of bear. She is a black bear, and she's technically called a cinnamon phase black bear. Black bears can come in more than the color black, and cinnamon is one of those colors, as well as blonde, blue-gray, or merle, or even white. We have a kiosk in the exhibit hall that talks about the various colors that a black bear can be, and it is interesting not only to know the colors, but the locations of where you may find bears, black bears, that aren't black. Honey has a different backstory than Holly Bear. Honey is a female, and she's our oldest female at the age of 19. Holly is only 2. Honey has never had cubs, and that's by her own choosing. It is a matriarchal society in the wild for black bears, and even if a male wants to mate with a female, she has the last say, and Honey has always said no. But that's okay with us. She's a wonderful bear to work with, and she exhibits some personality traits that are common to wild bears that you would see here in the Ely area. She's solitary. She really is not very interested in people, and she really isn't interested in us caregivers either unless we have food. You may know that black bears are not pack animals, unlike a wolf. Wolves are pack animals, and they hunt and they're predators in packs. Black bears are solitary in nature, and it's rare that you will see more than one black bear at a time unless you find a mother with her cubs, which lasts for about 17 months, or the month of June. And the month of June is important because that is the month of mating season. And not only do males look for females, the females look for the males as well. Honey has a couple shades of brown on her right now, and you'll notice on the sides and her legs are really a nice, beautiful chocolate brown. But on her back, you'll see a variety of colors of brown, from dark brown to almost blonde, a reddish blonde. Well, all that light-colored hair is last year's winter coat. Yes, she's still shedding her winter coat. And do we help in that endeavor? No, we really don't. People always ask, well, if you just took a big hairbrush and brushed her, she'd probably feel a lot better. Well, that's really not natural. They're not used to that, and that's not the type of relationship we have with them. She'll get all that hair out by walking through the trees and bushes here at the Bear Center in our very wooded and natural 2.5 acres. For those of you that have never been to the Bear Center before, if you look out over the deck here and across the pond, you'll see a tree line. And once you see that tree line, everything beyond that tree line is all natural woods. They do have 2.5 acres to wander as they wish here in the Bear Center, and we do have wild bear food for them. But if you have been walking in the woods at all lately here in Ely, Minnesota, you'll notice that the wild food is beginning to wane. We're past blueberry time, we're past raspberry time, and it really wasn't one of the better years here in Ely for wild foods. Right now, our bears are in a stage called hyperphagia, where they are very interested in food, and hyperphagia is a time of the year where they really want to begin to gain weight so they can go into hibernation, which here in the Ely area actually begins in September and ends typically by late October. And hyperphagia is brought on by the fact that there's not a lot of food out there in the wild. Mother Nature is very thoughtful about that. When there's not food out in the wild, Mother Nature says to the bears, well, you can waste a lot of energy walking around looking for food that isn't there, or find a den or dig a den like we're thinking maybe Holly might, and hibernate for the winter. We do allow our bears to naturally hibernate here in the Bear Center, and typically our first hibernator is Lucky Bear, and Lucky actually is not out at the moment. Lucky Bear is snoozing. Lucky is our 8-year-old male, and I always call him our teenager. Much before noon is pretty early for him, and so we typically don't have, he's not out and about much before noon, and he is what I call our night owl, because we will see him on our cameras at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night wandering around, just having a good time. Talk a little bit about Holly's personality. Holly is a very energetic 2-year-old. She is curious, and she spends a lot of time with Lucky, not every day, but on a regular basis, because her and Lucky, our 8-year-old male, have developed a friendship. Now, that's not something you would find in the wild, a friendship. between an 8-year-old male and a 2-year-old female, except for mating season. But of course, we're not in the wild, we are in captivity. One other trait that Holly has is when she doesn't get her way on a number of issues, she becomes quite vocal. And letting us know that she either wants different food, more food, she wants to play, or for whatever reason, she just is not happy with the situation. She is the most vocal of the four bears, and we do have a great vocalization board in the exhibit hall, about 8 or 9 different vocalizations that black bears do make, from very, very small cubs crying to their very, very early days, to other vocalizations that demonstrate a bear is nervous, fearful, or even some submissive sounds as well. I also want to draw your attention to our Northwoods Ecology Exhibit Hall that opened in July, just last month. It's a fabulous place to look at some other animals and learn about other animals here in the Ely area. We have a very large fish tank full of local fish. We have some snakes. I apologize for the technical difficulties here. I'm on a different mic. In ending our program, I would like to thank all of you folks here at the North American Bear Center for visiting us today. And as I was talking about the Northwoods Ecology Exhibit Hall, that focuses on all the other animals here in the Northwoods that you may see on a walk on one of our trails or just that are native to our area. We also have some interactive touchscreens for all ages that if you're interested in a particular animal in that room, you might find it on the touchscreens. Again, I apologize for having to change mics due to technical difficulties, but we will be back at 1 o'clock on mic, and for those of you here at the North American Bear Center, at noon we will have a behind the scenes. We will give you an announcement before noon on that and where to gather for that noon behind the scenes. Thank you very much.